Are werewolves considered involuntary furries? I'm asking a serious question right now. Hi everybody, my name's Kingnusmi. Today we're back again with The Haunting Hour. And for those of you guys that don't know, The Haunting Hour is a children's anthology horror show that aired on a now defunct channel called The Hub. It's called The Hub. Stop. Shut up. It was created by R.L. Stine, who's most famously known for his series Goosebumps. The Haunting Hour is very similar to Goosebumps in that each episode is its own different scary story. And The Haunting Hour is considered one of the scariest kid shows of all time. That being said, I asked you guys what episode of The Haunting Hour you'd like to see, and you guys voted for Nightmare Inn. Nightmare Inn is the 5th episode of The Haunting Hour, and it's actually based off of a story in the book The Nightmare Hour. The stories are similar enough, but they're still pretty different, so I'll tell you guys the differences at the end of the video. And this episode's pretty infamous for being very confusing to a lot of people, which it's really not. It's really not that confusing. So maybe I can clear some things up for you if it confused you when you were a kid. And one last thing before we jump into it, Madeline Carroll, who plays the main character Jillian in this episode, was also in the Haunting Hour episode Detention. She is also in the movie Astro Boy, and that movie does not get enough love. It also stars Richard Harmon, who plays the big brother Bobby in my personal favorite episode, Scarecrow. And for my longtime fans, I actually did find the alternate ending to the Scarecrow episode, and I just want to let you guys know that I kind of like the ending I covered more than the fire ending. But that's just for the people that know. Anyways, let's quit yapping and get into the episode. We start this episode by meeting our main character Jillian and her mom, who's very cleverly named Jillian's mom. Gotta love that. They're headed to buy an inn that her mom has a special connection to, but it's kind of far away, so they have to drive overnight so that they can be there when the real estate people get there in the morning. And we learn in this scene that Jillian has been having nightmares ever since her father passed away. He was coming to look at the inn so they could possibly buy it, but while he was headed up there, he had an accident and drove off the road. Honestly, just a tragic accident. And Jillian is still a little mad at her mom because she still wants to buy the inn because I guess she blames the inn for her dad's death. On the road, she's trying her best to stay awake so she doesn't have another nightmare. But I think she's been awake for a little too long because she starts seeing things.
Mom, look out! What? I thought I saw something.
Yeah, she's definitely hallucinating. There was nothing there. And after that little incident, her mom finally convinces her to get some sleep. They pull up to the inn, and Jillian doesn't really like the vibes of the place. It really creeps her out, but what makes things even worse is her mom just disappears. The hell was that? You can't just start adding jump scares in all willy-nilly. It makes no sense. That's like if I put a random jump scare in this video. Watch out. Even though Jillian is really scared of the inn, she does run inside to seek refuge. She runs in and hopes to find her mom inside, but the inn is just very dark, and while she's in there, she can hear somebody calling her name. She wanders the halls for a little bit, but that is until she comes to room 7B. Also, that wasn't the jump scare I was talking about. You should still be terrified. She enters the room, but almost immediately gets aggressively pulled out by someone. Or something. But then she wakes up. It was a nightmare all along. She wakes up to see her mom placing flowers on the side of the road that her father drove off of. And it's obviously very important for her mother's healing to do this. But Jillian hates that she's doing this, so she gets out of the car and tells her mom,
"Putting flowers down isn't gonna change anything."
Dude, I can assure you she's very aware of that. Now quit being an asshole and get in the car. Her mom's a little bit nicer than I am. She tells her that she just needed to stop for a moment because she does miss him too. Jillian tears up a little bit and starts playing with this necklace, which is the last thing her father gave her. Her mom tells her that she has a necklace to remember her dad by, but she has nothing, and that buying the inn is the equivalent to that necklace for her. I'm sure you have a sweater or shirt or some kind of jewelry, wedding ring maybe? You probably have something. He was your husband after all. So they make amends and then they get back in the car and start heading the rest of the way to the inn. Only they're not alone. They finally actually pull up to the inn, and it's called Nighttime Inn. Night as in knight and shining armor. Get it? Because it sounds like night, like nighttime. Get it? You get what they did there? It's very clever what they did there.
Welcome to Nighttime Inn. More like Nightmare Inn.
She said the thing! She said the title of the episode! She said it! Jillian is a little freaked out by the inn because it's the same one that she sees in her nightmares. But it's also been in her mom's dreams too. Well, her good dreams, because ever since she was a little girl, she stayed at this inn. And according to her,
You know, this was the first place your father and I...
Mom, TMI.
hey, get it, Mr. Jillian's dad? But as they're talking, somebody sneaks up behind them.
No.
This is Priscilla. She's the caretaker of the inn, and she's there to give Julian's mom the key to their room. She seems like a normal girl, but she does have a creepy vibe to her, and she seems a little paranoid that they're there. Priscilla can see that Julian's a little nervous, but she assures her that the inn's a nice place to stay and that she'll get used to it pretty quickly. She also notices Julian's necklace and strangely points out how it's silver.
Silver? Yeah.
Interesting. She leaves Julian alone so that she can help her mom with the bags, but once again, Julian isn't alone. Priscilla tells them that they're the only ones staying in the inn for the night, so they have the whole place to themselves and nobody should be bothering them. But that's when Julian tells them what she just saw, but they just brush it off as her being really tired and hallucinating again. Priscilla decides to give them the room 7B, which is the nicest room in the inn, but also the one that Julian sees in her dreams. Yeah, so that should be interesting. Julian tells her mom that she's a bit scared right now because they're moving into the room that she sees in her nightmares. But her mom just says she knows the inn has atmosphere, and it's only scary right now because it's nighttime, but it's actually really pretty and beautiful in the morning. AKA, she should get some sleep. But that night, Julian can't sleep. She lies awake in bed and she hears somebody whispering her name again. And then suddenly, she can't breathe. So she jumps out of bed, shoves her head out the window, and then she wakes up. It was just a nightmare. But she wakes up to find her necklace is missing. She starts to panic looking for it, and she gets upset at her mom because her mom isn't as worried as she is about the necklace. But her mom's more worried about leaving to go meet up with the real estate people. This is when Jillian's mom tells her once again, this inn is her necklace, and she doesn't want to lose the opportunity to have her necklace. Then she leaves to go, I don't know, do paperwork or something. And since Jillian can't come along, she's gonna stay back and do some homework. But while she's getting her bag out of the car, she bumps into Caleb, a pretty weird and creepy dude, to be honest. But he's trying to be nice and he walks Jillian back to the door as somebody watches them from the bushes nearby. But before she goes inside, he decides to ask her out. Of course, she declines his offer. They're not even staying that long anyways.
No one ever sticks around for long.
Also, you guys literally just met. Like, get to know her name first. You're also creepy as hell, but I guess Julian is into creepy dudes because she does take his offer and lets him show her around the property. They walk around and talk for a little while, but Julian decides it's probably best if she got back to the inn and started looking for her necklace. Caleb asks, is it from your boyfriend back at home? And then she tells him the tragic story of her father's death. But we do learn some new information. We learn that they never found her father's body. And also, strangely, the necklace that she's missing was delivered a week after he died. Priscilla interrupts their conversation to tell Jillian that her mom is calling her. And as she does this, Priscilla and Caleb have a stare off. Damn, they must really hate each other. Her mom calls her to tell her that they're gonna have to stay another night because they are missing some paperwork and they have to fill it out tomorrow. Which Jillian is surprisingly okay with now.
We have to stay another night.
Okay.
But I think she's only half paying attention because she's watching as Priscilla lays into Caleb, but we don't know why. After she gets off the phone, she asks Priscilla what's up with Caleb. Priscilla tells her that Caleb is a dangerous person. His whole life he's been in and out of psych wards, and he's not mentally stable, so she should really stay away. He's also not supposed to be on the property anyways, but he told us earlier that he worked there, so that doesn't really make sense. Jillian heads back inside to hopefully look for her necklace, but as she starts going to her room, somebody else has other plans. Caleb grabs Jillian and drags her into another room. He tells her that she should stay away from Priscilla because Priscilla is dangerous and a liar, which is weird because Priscilla just said the same thing about Caleb. Caleb mentions that Priscilla likes to steal things. He also mentioned that she used to like him, but he didn't like her back. So as revenge, she tells people all these crazy stories about him, just to get him into trouble as much as possible. But this is when Priscilla comes back inside, so Caleb has to quickly escape out the window. And at this time, Jillian starts to head back to her room, but she spots a marble in the middle of the hallway, which is pretty strange. It looks like it came out of the employee's room, which is the room Priscilla and Caleb work in. Obviously. Jillian searches the room to find that Caleb wasn't lying. There's stolen jewelry everywhere, including her necklace. Sadly, she didn't get out of there fast enough, and both Priscilla and Caleb come inside. Luckily, Jillian does make an escape through the closet, but she could have been a little bit quieter. Come on, dude, you don't think they're gonna hear that? Luckily, they don't see her leave, but they do know something is up. Jillian heads to the phone to quickly call her mom, but she finds somebody cut the line. And that night, Jillian is packing her stuff up when Caleb just invites himself in. How rude. And this is when she tells him what she saw in the employee room. Caleb tells her that he was trying to get her necklace back, but he just couldn't find it. He tells her that he was trying to get on Priscilla's good side so that she would trust him. Then he could swipe the necklace from her and give it back.
Trust me.
Then Caleb starts acting a bit strange. Well, stranger than normal. He starts talking about how beautiful the night is and how big the moon is in the sky.
You can almost feel it on your skin.
Okay, bro, calm down. I don't think the moon likes you like that. Who are you, Sokka? Caleb asks her to not leave, but sadly she will have to leave soon, but that's not gonna stop him.
It's too late now anyway.
I knew he was weird. He lunges at Jillian to hurt her, but she uses her dad's silver necklace to burn him, which just pisses him off even more. Jillian runs to Priscilla, and she tells Jillian to stay back, that she can stop him. Caleb comes running down the hallway, but is stopped by Priscilla, who says,
I told you, she's mine!
oh, so they're both werewolves, and they were fighting over who gets to eat Jillian. Cool. Priscilla also has a kind of funny transformation scene. She kind of flails and falls down the stairs, and then poof, she's a werewolf. It's kind of funny. Priscilla and Caleb tussle on the ground for a little bit, trying to knock each other out so that they can get to Jillian. But this just gives Jillian enough time to escape. She runs outside and hides, which really throws the werewolves for a loop. Hey, guys, she's over here. Well, the idiots ran the wrong way, so I guess she's safe. For now. God, they really like dragging this poor girl. Somebody pulls Jillian into a building and then closes the door behind them. That person then starts fighting both Priscilla and Caleb. And they're doing a really good job. Like, that dude's holding his own. Except at one moment, they focus on Caleb a little too much, and Priscilla almost gets Jillian. But they had everything under control. Luckily, the third werewolf fought the other two off, but we don't know if they're there to eat Jillian or not. Luckily, he simply just gives her her necklace back, takes a good long look at her, and then scurries away. But it was all just a nightmare. We learn that Jillian has been asleep for 14 hours, and the necklace is on the nightstand beside her. Jillian and her mom talk about her dad for a little bit. Jillian's mom mentions that she can feel the father's presence in the inn, and that's probably why she just wants to buy it so bad. And as her mom talks, Jillian looks out the window, probably contemplating if what she saw was real or not, and her mom tells her that she looks just like her father, except her father had green eyes, kind of like the werewolf that saved her in her dream. Or was it a dream? Finally, we get a good look at the necklace, and it reads, "To keep you safe, all my love, Dad." Then we get one final shot of Jillian's dad looking over the inn, keeping his family safe. And that's the end of the episode. I personally believe this episode is supposed to be up to your own interpretation, but I'll tell you what I believed happened and then maybe another one that could probably make sense. I believe the werewolf stuff did happen to Jillian. You can tell that both Caleb and Priscilla were trying to get close to Jillian in order to kill her. And when Caleb saw his chances somewhat slipping away, he decided to go a little more loosey-goosey with his plan. And he figured, hey, I'll just kill her when I get the first chance. Which obviously didn't work out and ultimately ruined the chances for both of them. But it caused this big fight, which of course alerted her dad to come up to the house and save her life. Well, she got so scared that she passed out, and her dad probably gently put her back in bed and put the necklace beside her. And then she slept for 14 hours. Jesus Christ, that's a long time. But since everything happened so fast and she woke up, she probably thinks it's just a dream, but her dad is actually out there protecting her for the rest of her life. Protecting her in the shadows like Batman. Another theory is it was all a dream. At the beginning of the episode, we learned that she isn't really sleeping that well because of her nightmares. So she simply just fell asleep when they got to the inn and slept for 14 hours and did not wake up. She dreamt all of it. Caleb, Priscilla, the werewolves, she dreamt it all. And it might be her own personal way of coping with her father's death. It would explain why her necklace was still on the nightstand when she woke up and why they're staying an extra night, it looks like. Of course, there's plot holes in both of my theories, so it could be either one. But let me know what you think what happened in the comments below. Curious to see any other theories. I'll admit I really didn't like this episode as much, but as I've watched it a couple more times and really broke things down, I'm starting to really enjoy it. It's got really solid acting throughout the whole episode. It's actually pretty scary at some points, especially all the stalking that happens. I personally really enjoy the werewolf prosthetics. I know it was like a lower budget and everything, but I think they look really good. I love how they started playing mind games on you towards the end, only for it to be both of the people that were playing mind games. I do wish that they fleshed out the father's story a little bit more. We do learn bits and pieces about him here and there, but I wish they did like a flashback of him being a sweet, kind-hearted person to like another person or even Jillian, just to show us what kind of person he really was. But in the episode, you kind of hear about him here and there, and then he shows up at the end, and then it's over. So you don't really feel that connected to him. We only really get a couple flashes of his werewolf face. Like that. There really was no build up to the end of the episode either. Like, I feel like earlier in the episode, they probably should have mentioned that his eyes were green. So when he does show up at the end, we know it's her dad protecting her. But we have no indication what he looks like. So I think I literally said when I was watching it for the first time, who's that guy? Because he just comes out of nowhere. A third werewolf just comes out of nowhere. But honestly, it's really not that bad of an episode. Very dark. I'm gonna have to brighten it like 10 times again, like I had to do with the fucking House of No Return. But yeah, let me know what you think in the comments below. Hi guys, I'm a little stupid and forgot to write one of the important parts of the video, and that was the story. I forgot to tell you guys about the story. So it is pretty early for me, so if I sound a little weird, I'm sorry. I just woke up and then immediately worked on this so I could get this out to you. This is also Saturday, the day before I post the video, so I'm gonna have to shove this shit in there really fast. First, I'm gonna do a quick retelling of the story, and then I'll get into the differences. Jillian and her mom pull up to an abandoned-looking inn with broken shingles, cracked windows, and tilting shutters. The sign is supposed to read Night Inn, but somebody used paint to make the sign read Nightmare Inn. A young girl named Priscilla introduces herself to Jillian and Miss Warner, and she tells them that she is the caretaker for the inn. Priscilla gives them the only good room in the whole building, room 17B. Jillian doesn't like the inn at all, and she tries to convince her mom that maybe buying this inn is a really bad idea. But her mom assures her that she's going to fix up the inn and that she doesn't even have to come back until it's finished. But Miss Warner has to quickly leave to meet up with the real estate people and leaves Jillian behind. So Jillian decides it's probably best if she just gets some homework done, but that doesn't last too long. She gets really bored and decides to lay down in bed and watch some TV. Some time passes and Jillian is now wandering the twisting halls of the inn and peeking indoors every once in a while. Jillian realizes she's a little lost, but that's okay, till she starts hearing noises coming from the distance. She follows the sounds into a room and figures maybe it's just Priscilla in there working inside. And since she can't find her way back, she decides to call out to Priscilla in hopes that she can help her find her way through. She calls out to Priscilla from the other side of the door, but Priscilla doesn't answer. A man does, and he tells her to go away. He opens the door and tells her his name is James and that she needs to leave before the next night because he's a werewolf and he will kill her. He tells her that he locks himself in the inn the night before he transforms so he doesn't hurt his family or anybody else. And Jillian assures him that they plan on leaving in the morning anyways, so he has nothing to worry about. Then, obviously really freaked out, she runs back through the labyrinth of halls and luckily finds her way back to her room. And she jumps in bed. Some more time passes and her mom wakes her up with some bad news. Some other people were bidding on the inn and she couldn't finalize the agreement. So they have to stay just one more night so she can do that. But Jillian tells her that they can't stay there, that there's a werewolf in the building and that he's going to kill them if they stay. Miss Warner tells her that that's probably just another one of her nightmares. But Jillian assures her that this actually happened to her. So her mom tells her, show me which room he's hiding in. Jillian takes her to the room that he was in and to find that it's empty. Maybe it was just a nightmare after all. The next day, after some fun activities, it's finally nighttime and Jillian's mom still isn't back. But they're gonna have to stay another night anyway, so Jillian figures it's best if she just lays down and gets some sleep. But as she's trying to sleep, she keeps hearing something run past her bedroom door. She goes outside and walks down the hallway to find James acting very strange. He sprints at her, pins her to the wall, and tells her it's time, as hair grows out of every pore in his face and the muscles in his face twist and turn into a wolf-like snout. He tries biting Jillian, but luckily she gets away. She runs until she finds Priscilla at the end of the hall. And upon closer inspection, she sees that Priscilla's face is also morphing into a wolf-like creature. Priscilla leaps at Jillian, barely missing her. And before anything else can happen, James yells, "She's mine, get away." The two werewolves fight for a little while. Priscilla even gets a really nasty cut from James. And she starts bleeding all over the floor. After watching for a second in horror, Jillian runs back to her room, gets under the cover, covers her ears, and closes her eyes. And when she opens them, it's the next day. She sees Priscilla leaning over her with a smile on her face, looking normal again. Priscilla says that she heard Jillian screaming when she was walking past the room, so she decided to pop in and check on her. She says that people usually have really bad nightmares when they stay here, and that's probably why people jokingly call it Nightmare Inn. Then Miss Warner comes in to check on Jillian. Priscilla tells her that everything's okay, it was just another nightmare. Miss Warner thanks her for checking on Jillian, but can't help but notice that she has a nasty cut on her cheek. Jillian takes a closer look at Priscilla to see 4 deep claw marks on her cheek. Priscilla says it must have been the cat. Then she turns to Jillian and says, it had to be the cat, right? And that's the end of the story. Totally different vibe from the episode. A lot creepier in my opinion. Of course, there's a lot of differences from the story and the episode. Some small ones being like it's called Night Inn, not like Knight in Shining Armor, but like Nighttime Inn. And someone used paint to paint the sign to say Nightmare Inn rather than Jillian just making a joke in the episode calling it Nightmare Inn. The inn is also more disheveled in the story. It has cracked windows and broken shingles. When in an episode, it actually looks kind of fine. Looks like just a regular inn that maybe somebody needs to work on a little bit. The book also calls Jillian's mom Miss Warner, which is something the episode could have kept in, but they didn't. Her necklace is also absent from the story, but it's a very big part of the episode. Some of the major differences is there's no James in the episode, but they did kind kind of replace him with Caleb. James also shows up briefly before the climax of the story when she gets to spend more time with Caleb. So Caleb gets more story and more build up than James. They also very briefly mention her dad in the story. It's literally one sentence to mention he's dead. But in the episode, it's like a huge part. It's probably the biggest part of the whole episode. They also don't really tie him into the inn at all in the story. Miss Warner just wanted to buy the inn because she used to stay there as a kid and she wants to reopen it. But in the episode, she's buying the inn because it was her and her husband's biggest dream to run the inn together. The dad is also shown to be alive at the end of the episode, but in the book, he's dead. He's just dead. Now let's get back to the other guy. I have a Patreon. The $5 members get videos a day early, plus some bonus content, maybe some pictures of my cats, plus a Discord server. I really do appreciate all the Patreon members. In my line of work, my videos get copyrighted quite often, and that kind of hinders my income. So being a Patreon member really does help me be able to do this full time. Seriously, thank you guys so much. Like the video if you liked the video. Thank you for watching the video all the way through. I appreciate you all, and peace.